Caulfield fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? What is going on? How was that? Do we feel a little bit better about ourselves? Do we feel a little bit better about being Montreal Canadiens fans after that? I think I do. This is what we have been waiting to see from this team, guys. I think this is what they've been working towards. This is the kind of effort that this team has been trying to achieve. This is the kind of game that they've been trying to play, right? We've been talking about them wanting to get to the point where they know how to win and they know how to play consistent hockey. They know how to play a full 60 minutes. They know how to play back-to-back games, right? Remember at the end of the last show, we talked about whether or not the Canadiens would be able to carry over the momentum from the previous game against the Blue Jackets into tonight's game against the Oilers, and I think they did. I think they did exactly that. Yeah. So just before we get started, guys, in case you haven't noticed, I am using some new software. The graphics are going to be a little bit different, hopefully better. I've moved over from using OBS to using Ecamm. So yeah, maybe you guys can let me know whether you like the graphics better, whether you like everything about it better, right? Just let me know what you think about the whole layout, the whole setup, the whole situation. Hey, NHL predictions, Adrian, what's going on? Let's have a little chat. Let me just get through some things. I had a few notes that takeaways from today's game that I wanted to talk about. I want to get one thing off my chest before so that I can stop talking about it and I don't have to talk about it anymore. The refereeing was absolutely atrocious tonight. Like pure hot garbage, stinky ass diaper, putrid, stinky, smelly, shitty, terrible. Like the number of penalties that the referees let go tonight was just beyond what anybody could expect. Like it's just crazy. And the things that now are automatic penalties, the Lane Hudson hook, where, I believe it was Hyman, basically takes his stick and holds it across his own chest, and Hudson gets called for a penalty on that. Hudson, everybody showed that play of McDavid doing the big twirl around the Canadiens' offensive zone in the first period, but everybody seemed to ignore the complete pick play that I don't even remember who it was. It might have been Hyman again. The pick play that essentially took Hudson out of the play and allowed McDavid to make that play. There was the tripping on the power play late in the game. Matheson's coming into the zone, and the Oilers stick into his skates and he goes down. There were at least a half dozen calls that were basic, simple, easy penalties that could have been called and just weren't. So anyways, I want to get that off my chest so I don't have to rant about the referees for the rest of the show. I'll get it off my chest. It's done now. The two other thoughts I had, the first one was hit the net. That's something I wrote down in the second period. Obviously, they did a little bit better on that in the third period, but there were so many very good opportunities to get quality shots on goal tonight where they just missed the net. There was a period a period of time in the second period where Caulfield, there were three really good opportunities in a row and they all missed the net. Obviously they improved that in the third period and it was a lot better. And the other point I want to bring up is that anybody who thinks or has had any fear, if you're a Canadiens fan and you've had some fear that, Lane Hudson isn't going to be able to defend or play the defensive game in the NHL, those fears are completely gone. Tonight he went up against, one of the best offenses in the NHL, and he more than held his own. You know, he was just as good as anybody out there. Whether he was out there against McDavid or anybody, a Draisaitl or anybody else on the Edmonton Oilers, and he is just fine defensively, and he was able to do his usual things on offense. So any concern that anybody has, whether you're a fan thinking that the Canadians, or sorry, thinking that you're worried that Caulfield won't be able to, that Hudson won't be able to play defensively in the NHL, or whether you're, a fan of another team who just wants to hate on him because he's too small, you're just not watching the games if you have any concern whatsoever about Hudson's ability to defend in the NHL. Tonight, what did he have? He played a total of, let us see here, Lane Hudson, 22 minutes and 17 seconds, 24 shifts. Yeah, just a quality game, all around for him. I mean, we can look at some of his advanced stats if you like. He's, give me a second here. Lane Hudson, 22 minutes, 17 seconds. 0.3 expected goals. What was his expected goals percentage? Expected goals percentage of 83.3% tonight, right? So he's got an expected goals percentage of 83.3% against, arguably one of the best offensive teams in the NHL, right? He goes out against, McDavid, Draisaitl, and he is on the ice for 83% of the expected goals in that game. 83% of the expected goals while he is on the ice were in his favor. Anyways, let's get to the game itself. Let's have a look at the scoreboard. We have some new graphics, guys, as I said. We're going to have a look at the scoreboard here now. And there we go. How about that fanciness, right, guys? So the scoring, of course, 3-0 for Montreal. We have, we'll go through the goals here real quickly. The first period, no goals, no scoring. The Canadians are outshot 13-8 in that first period. Now, some people might say that was not the best period for the Montreal Canadiens. They got outshot. They got outplayed in certain aspects of the game. But here was a situation where they were up against a much better team. And they bent, but they didn't break, right? So Montembeault certainly was a big factor. He held them in the game in that first period. He kept everything close. What's going on, guys? I see you in the comments there. I'll get to some of your comments here in a second if it's okay. I'm just going to go through the scoreboard and the A team, and then we'll get over to your comments if that's all right. So again, a lot of people will say that the Canadians just didn't have a good first period, but again, they're playing against a really strong offensive team, and they weathered the storm. Against McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Bouchard and that whole crew. Montembeault obviously put on a great performance, and he kept them in the game. They're outshot 13-8 in that period. They high danger scoring chances are 5-3 in favor of Edmonton in that period, and it's 1.8 to 0.9 as far as expected goals in the first period. Second period, the Canadians come out and they score late in the period, right? This is becoming a habit for them. They're getting these goals late in the period. Last game, they got 2 goals. I believe it was last game. They scored 2 goals at the end of the period. A great play by Juraj Slafkovsky. Great effort by him. He steals the puck in the defensive zone. He gets the puck ahead. He follows up the play. The play ends up behind the net. The puck ends up behind the net. He's battling with Matthias Ekholm, arguably the Oilers' best defender. He wins that battle, gets the puck back towards the point. Matheson swoops in, gets the puck, fires a quick shot at the net, and Gallagher is able to deflect it past Calvin Pickard. 1-0 Montreal. Gallagher's 8th goal of the year, if you can believe that. 8 goals already for Brendan Gallagher. That's at the 19:29 mark of the second period. Shots on goal in the second period were 8-6 for Edmonton. The Canadiens led in high danger scoring chances 4-2 in that period. And it was 1.1 high expected goals to 0.5 expected goals for the Canadiens in that second period. So the Canadiens were the better team in that second period. After weathering the storm in the first period, they were the better team in the second period. So let's get on to the third period again. You know, obviously the Canadiens have been up and down this year. They're going into the third period with a lead and a little bit of momentum. Can they hold on to that momentum, or will they sort of, have, an off period and allow Edmonton to get back in the game? Well, the answer is no. 6 minutes into the third period, you get a goal from Caden Gooley. Caden Gooley left the game midway or in the early part of the second period after blocking a slap shot. Maybe it was the first period. It was in the first period. He blocked a slap shot. It looked like with his hand or his forearm. Looked pretty bad at the time. Ends up leaving, going to the dressing room, misses the rest of the period, but then comes back. And then, like I said, just under 6 minutes into the third period, a really great play by Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield is sort of zipping all over the ice that entire shift. He goes along the boards with Leon Draisaitl. Absolutely, out battles the bigger player along the boards, wins the puck, and then has, engages in a bit of a really, I don't know what to call it, a slick three-way, it was a kind of a give and go kind of play between Caulfield, Evans, and then finally Gooley. Gooley fires a wrist shot, short side, beats Pickard. Canadians are up 2-0. Again, a real pretty play. Cole Caulfield looked really, really, really good. I mean, I thought he looked fantastic tonight. Arguably, I would say one of the best games he's ever played as a Montreal Canadian. Obviously the numbers weren't there. He scored more goals before, but I think we're seeing the fruits of all of the things that he was working on last season, when everyone was complaining that he wasn't getting as many goals, and he was working on other aspects of his game. These are the kinds of things that I think he was working on last year. So then it's 2-0. The Oilers pull their goalie with quite a bit of time left on the clock, a little over 5 minutes left on the clock. The Oilers pull their goalie. And of course, with that team, they engage in quite a bit of pressure in the Canadian zone. At the 16:52 mark, the Oilers are, the Oilers have, prolonged pressure in the Canadian zone. They've got the Canadians running around a little bit. The puck gets coughed up in the high slot in the defensive zone. Jake Evans finds it, and he flips the puck the length of the ice, and it goes in the net. Just another goal. Jake Evans, that's his fourth of the year, assisted by Suzuki. Again, the Canadians had another situation just about a minute and a half or so before that. I think it was Matheson tried to score the full length of the ice and ends up getting nailed for the icing call. But this time, Jake Evans makes no mistake. He puts the game away, empty netter. It's 3-0 Montreal. That's the final. In the third period, the Canadians outshoot the Oilers 11-8. High danger scoring chances are 5-3 in favor of Montreal. And the expected goals in the third period are just like over the top, like 2.6 to 0.5, right? That's impressive. When you have 2.5 expected goals in a period, that you're playing good offensive hockey. Like, that is high level offensive hockey in the NHL. So again, total 30-25. Oilers still win the shots on goal battle. The Canadians have 12 high danger scoring chances to just 10 for the Oilers. And the Canadians dominate in expected goals, 4.6 to 2.8. So a great performance by Montreal in all aspects of the stat sheet. It was a dominant game. Like I said, they weathered the storm in the first period, and then they just took it to the Oilers in the second and the third. So we're going to go quickly, and we're going to look at the report card, guys, really, really quickly here. So there's our new report card. Again, 2 nights in a row, we're getting a clean sweep. The Canadians allowed 3 or fewer goals. Again, a Montembeault shutout, second shutout of the year. They score 3 or more goals. The idea being that if you score more than 3 or more goals per game, you have a good chance of making the playoffs. If you allow 3 or fewer goals per game, you also have a really strong chance of making the playoffs. They did both tonight. Special teams, I'm going to give them a check mark, even though they didn't score on the power play. They managed to keep McDavid and Draisaitl and that powerful power play off the board for the game. I thought that in and of itself was sufficient for them to get a check mark under special teams. Engagement, effort, and energy. Again, 2 nights in a row, they brought it. They were engaged. They were energetic. They skated hard. They just looked good in all aspects of the game. Again, progress. This is progress. This is a great step in the right direction for this team. 2 good games in a row. They carried momentum over from one game to the other. All of that good stuff. Discipline. I thought they remained disciplined tonight. Even when it could have gotten frustrating, with the refereeing. They managed to maintain their cool and not take any penalties. They took a few penalties. I think they were 3 power plays against tonight. And again, I don't think that was that bad. Again, the refereeing was terrible, but in any event, I thought they were quite disciplined tonight, and they played for a full 60 minutes. Again, some might say that first period was a soft period for them, but again, you're playing against a team that is, quite a bit better than you are, and certainly further ahead on their cycle as far as being a contending team in the NHL. And that first period was just a matter of them holding their own and weathering the storm. And pride. I think they showed pride tonight, right? They were, they didn't quit. They didn't, they just, they showed pride. They never gave up. They kept coming, regardless of how many times the referees went against them, no matter how many times, McDavid was skating out, they just continued to come back and show pride and show that they thought that they were the better team and that they could win out there tonight. So last but not least, get ready for this, guys. This is going to be a cool new graphic. Are you ready? This is our A team. There you go, guys. There's the A-team. So tonight's A-team, the A-team, guys, is our version of the 3 stars. If you're over on TikTok, guys, and you're trying to get into the conversation, follow the instructions on the screen behind me. Come over to YouTube, Recliner Sports 4 on YouTube. If you come over here, you can see the graphics, and you can engage in the conversation over here. We've got a comment section going. We're going to start answering questions here as soon as I'm done with the A-team. We're going to do that. So if you want to participate in all that, all you got to do is just come over here to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. We are going to get to the comments here in a minute. Again, tonight, guys, there's all kinds of guys you could have put on the A-team. There were, a ton of guys who, easily could have been on this list. Samuel Montembeault, no-brainer, another shutout. Again, looked really, really good from beginning to end, especially in the first period when the Canadiens really, really needed him. He kept them in the game. He did his job. He looked spectacular tonight. There's nothing more really to say. There's, positives up the wazoo coming out of Samuel Montembeault's game tonight. Juraj Slafkovsky, right? Everyone was talking about him getting benched briefly or put on the 4th line last game. He came back with one of his better performances of the year. I thought he looked really, really good. He looked engaged on both ends. Maybe there was a little bit of, early in the game where he kind of was getting knocked around a little bit, but he certainly came back and was a key performer for the team. Cole Caulfield, I mentioned it before. I thought he played arguably his best game ever as a Montreal Canadien. I thought he looked spectacular tonight. And it's not just about scoring goals with him anymore, right? It's he's doing other things now. He's a solid defender. He's battling better on the boards than he ever did before. His skating looks better. He's pushing the play. He's creating plays. He's driving plays. He's creating scoring chances for himself and for other players. He's not just a shooter anymore. We talked about that a little bit in the last game, where he's able to create some of his own offense as opposed to just relying on, somebody feeding him in the, in the circle and being able to fire. He's not that guy anymore. He's gone from being a shooter to a guy who can create his own offense. And again, I know people will maybe, especially the Leafs fans, will bristle a little bit at the comparison, but he's becoming more of an Austin Matthews style guy, right? Matthews is, arguably the best shooter in the NHL, but he also has the ability to create, his own scoring opportunities with his skating. and his stick work. So, and finally, last but certainly definitely not least, is Caden Gooley. I mean, what a gutsy performance. Like I said, he goes off in the third period after blocking a shot from Evan Bouchard awkwardly. It looks really, really painful. He goes to the dressing room, stays there for quite some time, comes back at the beginning of the next period and goes out on the very next shift, and he's out there blocking more shots, right? Like he went right back to blocking shots, didn't hesitate, nothing. He played a fantastic game, and then he was rewarded with a nice goal at 5:52 of the third period. To put the Canadiens up 2-0. So again, Caden Gooley with a spectacular performance. You could have put Lane Hudson in the A team tonight. I don't think anybody would have argued with that. Lane Hudson, unfortunately, is kind of pricing himself out of the market a little bit. I mean, you kind of expect a certain amount from him, and so even if he is one of the better players on the ice, if he's not having one of his better games, I tend not to put him on the A team, even though sometimes he may deserve to be there. Mike Matheson, again, 2 fantastic games in a row. Anybody who's complaining about Mike Matheson or saying that Mike Matheson isn't, whatever, you're just, again, you're not paying attention. He's had a great year, and certainly the last 2 games he's been really, really good. Arbor Jackeye, Jaden Struble, like the entire defensive core tonight, right? Like even David Savard, like the entire defensive core tonight was really, 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 really good. And so if we go back like 2 or 3 weeks when we were all losing our minds because we didn't think that they could figure out how to, defend in their own zone, and now all of a sudden we go from that to a game where they're playing one of the better teams in the NHL, and all 6 defensemen are having a really, really good game. So yeah, I think they've come a really long way. And if you're a Canadiens fan, that's the kind of game that you have been waiting to see from them. And this is what they've been working towards. Like, all of the times that people, you've been coming into our show here at Habs After Dark, and you've been complaining about, oh, the Canadiens are no better than they are last year. They're regressing. And I keep telling you that they're working on stuff. Let them, give them time. They're working towards it. This is what they've been working towards. And sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes it doesn't. And again, they may not even be there. They may not even be there yet, but they've certainly demonstrated that they have the ability to put 2 good games together now. Now the question is, can they put 3 good games together? Can they put 4 good games together? And then can they get to the point where this is the kind of effort that they consistently put forward? Are they going to put this kind of effort forward, 82 games a year? No team is going to do that. But when this kind of game becomes the norm and the other games become the exception, that's when they're starting to move towards, better things. And I think this is certainly a huge step in the right direction. So I am going to now go to the chat. We're going to talk to the comments. So we've got a bunch of comments that came in already. Adrian is here. Hunter is here. Frank is here. Brandon is here. Spectre Dad's here. Aiden is here. Entertap, what's going on, pal? Entertap is here. So Adrian, NHL Predictions, says, this was the best game, in my opinion. They're starting to get a hang of playing hockey. Yeah. I mean, basically, you're kind of saying what I said. I agree with you. They're finally learning how to win. It's the mental side of the game, right? This is what they've been working on since the beginning of the year. This is what Marty St. Louis has been talking about. This is what he's been trying to teach these guys. How to go out and put together a full 60 minutes of hockey. 1 against Columbus, not a very good team, and 2 against Edmonton, a pretty good team, right? And this is, doing it 2 nights in a row, carrying momentum over from one game to another. This is what you're looking for. This is what Marty St. Louis is looking for. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come join us here. Join us over here on YouTube. All you got to do is come over to YouTube. Recliner Sports 4 is the channel. We're doing Habs After Dark. Come on and join the conversation. Hunter, I thought the Habs did a very good job on shutting down the Oilers' top players. They did. They did. And again, understanding that you're not going to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. So I appreciate the use of that term, Hunter. But again, you're never going to shut those guys down. What you need to do is you need to contain them. And McDavid had his chances tonight. Hyman had his chances tonight. Draisaitl had his chances tonight. They're going to get their chances. But what you need to do is you need to minimize those chances, and you need to sort of limit the opportunities that those guys have to make a difference in the game. And that comes back to goaltending. It comes back to solid play in your own zone. It comes down to a lot of things, and I thought Montreal did that tonight. Right? They bent, but they didn't break. And then after that first period, the Oilers kind of looked like maybe they were kind of disheartened a little bit, right? You kind of dishearten teams when you take their best and they can't beat you with it. Then they kind of be like, oh geez, what do we do now, right? If you're over there on TikTok, guys, you can come on over. We're talking Habs, we're talking the game with the Oilers, we're talking hockey in general. So if you have questions that don't relate to the Canadians, I'm happy to talk about it. So let's do it if you're over. But if you're over there in TikTok, you got to come over to the YouTube channel Recliner Sports 4 and check out our Habs After Dark. Frank, the best game of the season so far. Good defense, good offense, good goaltending. Can't say anything else. Yeah, I would say it's their best game of the year. There was a game early, I think it was against Ottawa. They had a pretty good game very early on in the year. But yeah, I think this is definitely progress and a step in the right direction. Yeah, I'm glad to see that you actually have only positive things to say tonight, Frank. I'm happy to see it. Brandon, for the Four Nations, let's just say Thompson and Hill are two of the goalies. Does Montembeault take third spot, or does it go to Skinner or even Fleury as a vet? I have no idea who's going to be the goalie, Brandon. I have no idea who will be any of the three goalies. I don't know that Thompson and or Hill deserve the spot. People were talking about Binnington for a long time, but he's obviously fallen off a cliff. I would be happy to. I think it would be kind of cool to have a guy like Fleury as your third goalie, just because I think he would bring so much off the ice. He would be fun in the dressing room. He would lighten the mood. He would do all kinds of things to help that team off the ice. And realistically, if you're the third goalie, you're probably not going to get any playing time. So, having a guy like Fleury in that third spot would be cool. Who are in the first two spots? I mean, Fleury could be in one of the top two spots too, but I mean, like, you got Thompson, you got Hill, you got Montembeault, you got Binnington, you got Skinner, you've got what's his name in Utah? I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, there's all kinds of options for the goaltenders, right? So again, the Canadian Team Canada doesn't have a lot of great goaltending options, but we shall see. You like the graphics better, Spectre Dad? Well, hopefully we can keep it up. Hot take, but Gallagher is worth every penny he's making. Yeah, I don't know how hot a take that is right now. I think 6.5 is still a little bit probably steep for what he's bringing, but he scored his 8th goal tonight. So let's just look at his stats here for a second. So Gallagher now has 8 goals in, let's see, 8 goals in how many games? 8 goals in 19 games. So if Brendan Gallagher continues on this pace, he's looking at 35 goals. Right? If he scores 35 goals, maybe he is worth. Maybe he does, show some value even at $6.5 million. I mean, I think I get your point, Aiden. I think you're making a point, but yeah, it's an interesting call. He's been worth again, I almost said he's been worth every penny so far this year, but he's been great. I mean, obviously, his assists are down, but I mean, he's giving you everything you could possibly want out of Brendan Gallagher at this point in his career. He's not the player he used to be, but still plays. Yeah, he's not the player he used to be, but he's also not the player he used to be, right? I think he's not the player he was when he was 23 and 24, but he's also not the player he was at the beginning of last year and the year before that, right? He's, there's definitely an improvement if you watch in his skating. There's definitely an improvement in his stick handling, his, he just, his hands look better. Everything looks better, right? He just, there's what did somebody there's an expression that once you lose a step, you never get it back. In Gallagher's case, it was more of a situation where he lost 2 steps, and it looks like he's gotten one of them back. Right? I don't think he's back to, his early years in the NHL form, but he's definitely made a return back from sort of the low point that he might have been at in the last 2 or 3 years. So, Enter Tap, what's going on, man? I wonder what your real name is. I don't know. It kind of sounds weird calling you Enter Tap, but I watched the live last night with Coach Frenchie, and he called you Enter Tap, Mr. Enter Tap the whole time. So maybe you prefer to be called Enter Tap. Otherwise, if you let me know, I'm happy to call you by your real name. Great overall team effort tonight. The Habs really did a good job of clogging up the neutral zone and really not allowing the offense to generate any quality plays or shots. Great work. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, limit and minimize the opportunities that the top players on a team like the Oilers get. Right, you're never going to shut those guys down completely. They're going to get shots. They're going to get opportunities. But if you can limit those opportunities, and when those opportunities come, if your goalie can show up, and if you can make sure that you clear the rebounds, you don't allow that prolonged pressure. There was a little bit of that in the first period, but certainly in the second and third there wasn't. Right, you limit those repeated chances. McDavid's going to get shots on net. He's going to get scoring chances, but when he does, you need to limit it just one at a time. Right, when he gets that shot on goal, the goalie makes the save and you get it out of there. You don't let them, continually to compound the pressure on the team. So good distribution of time of ice for all D-men tonight. Yeah, I thought, again, I said it, when we were talking about the A-team earlier, all 6 defensemen played great tonight. Any one of those guys could have been one of the 3 stars or in my case, part of the A-team. I thought they were Matheson, Savard, Gooley, Jackeye, Struble. They were all fantastic tonight. Do I agree with the 5-game suspension Reeves got? Yeah, I think it's right. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's high. I don't think that Reeves's hit was as bad as Trouba's hit on Barron. And you'll call me, some will call me a Canadiens homer for that. To me, Reeves' hit was not deliberate, not nearly as deliberate as Trouba's was. He wanted to make a big hit, but because he's not a great skater and because he's a little bit awkward, his timing was off, and he ended up sort of getting there a little bit earlier than he expected, and catching Darnell Nurse in the head. It's not a situation where he, Trouba, when he hit Barron, he saw that hit from the beginning. He tracked Barron, he saw Barron, and he, deliberately skated and delivered a shoulder / back of the arm through Justin Barron's head. Reeves, wanted to throw a big hit, but, I don't think he intended to hit the head. It's just, the awkwardness and the, his, the fact that he's not a great skater, he's not very agile, and he's not a very skilled guy, kind of was what resulted in the bad hit. So again, I have no problem. I think he needs to get 5 games, but again, I say that keeping in mind that I've seen worse hits, or at least hits with worse intent, be penalized less this year and in years past in the NHL. Enter Tap. I think that Suzuki and Gooley did an effective job of eliminating ice space of McDavid and Draisaitl. I have to check this, but McDavid only has 1 assist in his last 9 games at Bell Center. Okay, yeah. No, again, I think that the Montreal Canadiens young defensemen are learning a lot of sort of skills that not everybody really will pick up on. Like you talk about eliminating the ice and eliminating space, right? The natural instinct for anybody, when a guy like McDavid gets the puck, will be to sort of back off of him so you can give yourself room to defend him. But sometimes, it's more effective to close on him as quickly as you can, right? And that is kind of the strategy behind the Canadiens' defensive zone system, this new, hybrid system that everybody's talking about, is that, sometimes it's beneficial and sometimes it's better off to rush a guy and force him to make a play or to put pressure on him to make a play, rather than it is to back off him. Um, you know, because yes, you're giving yourself time and room, but you're also giving the other player time and room. This is Lane Hudson 101, right? This is the skill that Lane Hudson learned at a young age when he was always the smallest kid on the ice. He learned that physically he sometimes had to do that in order to defend properly, because he couldn't always defend guys by backing off them. So if you watch Hudson, he does it all the time. If a defender or if an opposing player juggles the puck in any way, shape, or form, he pounces, right? He's on it, like boom, no hesitation. And he's done it multiple times. And I think that some of the other defenders are either taking a cue from him, or this is something that's being taught, whether it's by Marty St. Louis or Stéphane Robida or whoever else is running the defense over there. Ingram, yes. Connor Ingram, you're right, James. That's the other guy I was trying to think of, the goalie for Utah. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over to YouTube. Come on over and join the conversation. We're doing Habs After Dark. All you got to do is just come on over here. If you want to ask questions, get into the comments. The channel is Recliner Sports 4. The show is called Habs After Dark, and we're going to talk probably for another 15 minutes or so. We're going to answer your questions. So if you want to get into the conversation, I put it up on YouTube or on TikTok just so you all over there could be notified and get the word that we're over here doing this over on YouTube. It's good to see Gallagher healthy and playing well. He's a spark plug. Yeah, absolutely, Frank. I agree. It's great. Habs winning the cup this year? I don't think so, Cheese Wizard. I don't know. I assume that's sarcasm. I don't know whether that's good sarcasm or snarky sarcasm. But yeah, the Canadiens aren't winning the cup this year. They're not making the playoffs this year. They're not making the playoffs this year. It's, what we're looking for at this point is just, a continued consistent effort and an improvement. It's why we do our report card, right? We do the report card every game. These are the things we look for, right? Are they progressing, right? Are they getting better? Are they showing up with engagement, effort, and energy every night? Are they progressing towards their ultimate goal? Are they playing a full 60 minutes, three or few for these are the things that I look for. And all Canadiens fans should be looking for, as opposed to wins and losses, because, while I think that they did have an opportunity at the beginning of the year, if everything went well, and they were able to stay healthy, I do think they had an opportunity to be contenders for a playoff spot. Obviously I think that ship has sailed at this point. It would take next to a miracle in order for that to happen. Tap that screen, guys. You send us some hearts. You can hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell. If you hit the notification bell, then you will receive notifications whenever we go live. We do go live with Habs After Dark. Every time the Montreal Canadiens play, we start up about 15 minutes after the game. We do a little bit of a post-game analysis, and then we just have a chat. We talk in the comments, and if you enjoy that, then certainly come on by, become a regular. We got some of our regulars in here. Frank is in here. Penalty's still a problem. Better today, but need to stay out of the box. Hey, no silly penalty from Arbor tonight. Well, I don't agree with that, Jason. I don't think penalties are a problem. I think the Canadiens have shown extraordinary discipline so far this year. I'd be curious to see where they are in the league as far as let's see where they are in the league as far as penalty minutes. So right now in the, where do I find this here? Stand by, y'all. The Montreal Canadiens currently are okay. They're more penalized than I thought they were. they're averaging about 10 minutes and penalties per game, which is higher than I thought they would have been. Their penalty kill has been really strong. Jack I think has been way more disciplined. I don't think he's really had any real major issues this year. My eye test has been that the Canadiens have been pretty disciplined this year as far as penalties are concerned. They're taking so they're 10 minutes in penalties per game, so 5 minor penalties per game. Yeah, I guess that's higher than I expected, but I can't think of any instances where they've taken any, real seriously indisciplined penalties or undisciplined penalties at any point this season. So I'm not that concerned about that. I think like tonight, 3 power plays tonight against? Tonight they had 3 power plays against. So yeah. Jack Eye's not taking bad penalties. Hasn't taken a bad penalty in quite some time. Very happy to see Caulfield's improvement. Really fun to watch. Can you discuss the refs? I didn't watch the game, but it's improved all year across the NHL. So 2 things there. Caulfield, we talked about it earlier. Last year everyone was very concerned that Caulfield wasn't scoring goals at the same rate that he had in the past, and so on and so forth and whatever. But those who kind of paid attention kind of understood that he was probably working on other aspects of his game, and because of that, it was kind of impacting his scoring. But if you've watched him this year, his game is far more complete. Tonight, just his skating, his defensive game, his puck retrieval along the boards, that kind of stuff. And again, the big thing for me is, he's just his ability to drive his own play, like to create his own offense. Like in the past, he's been a guy who kind of relies on his line mates to set him up for, that one timer or, to use his shot. Well, he seems, certainly in the, this season so far, but, definitely in the last 3 or 4 games, he's able to create his own scoring chances and scoring chances for his teammates, by, with his skating and with his, his puck handling and with his, he's able to, to create offense and not just finish it. And that's to me, again, I said it earlier and, Leafs fans won't like it, but, he's becoming more of an Austin Matthews type, and less of sort of an Ovechkin type. Not that either of those things are anything that you don't want to be, but again, he's becoming a guy who can drive his own play and not just be a finisher. So the refs were terrible. I mean, I said I didn't want to really talk about it too much. I talked about it at the outset of the show. The hooking call on Hudson. This idea that your stick gets between the boards and an opposing player, and he takes. The opposing player takes the stick and kind of holds it under his arm, and that constitutes hooking in the NHL, these days. It blows my mind. Zach Hyman running over the goalie, right? No one's anywhere near him. He runs into the goalie, knocks the net off, and there's no penalty, right? They don't even, the referees don't even want to blow the whistle when the net comes off the moorings, but they, eventually they have to because, the Oilers get a shot on goal, but, no penalty on Hyman for running over the goalie. Early in the game, everyone was talking about McDavid, when he did that big loop-de-whirl all around the Montreal Canadiens zone, and everyone said, "Oh my God, well, of course he did that, because the Oiler player, threw a complete pick on the player who was defending him. Lane Hudson was defending McDavid, and when he, was skating after McDavid, one of the Oilers players came and just, took his legs out from under him and knocked him down. Like it's Matheson on the power play in the 3rd period, right? He's entering the Oilers zone at top speed, and he's crossing the blue line. And when he does, an Oilers player gets his stick into Matheson's skates. No call. It's just, I don't get it. I'm at a loss to understand what is a penalty and what isn't a penalty in the NHL anymore. It's just like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. If anybody can explain it to me, I would love to hear it. But these referees literally are doing their own thing. They're ignoring the rule book. They're refereeing the game in a completely inconsistent manner that does absolutely nothing as far as referees and officials and rules are meant to do two things. They're meant to protect the players from injury, and they're meant to ensure the fairness and the consistency of the game. The referees are doing neither of those things. Right? There's no fairness coming out of the way these guys referee games, because you don't know what is a penalty and what isn't a penalty anymore. It's basically, it's a penalty if the referee feels like he wants to call it. It's a disaster. Yes, Frank, you've repeated the same comment now 3 times, Frank. I've repeated it. I've answered it. I don't know what more you want me to do. Did Jack Guy hit an Oilers player? Yes. There was a nice hit by Jack Guy in the first period. Hyman coming out of the zone, the puck kind of got a little bit loose on him. He was trying to corral the puck, had his head down, and more or less he kind of skated into Jack Guy, right? Jack Guy was kind of stepped up on him, and he kind of skated into Jack Guy, and Jack Guy kind of, probably could have done a lot worse if he wanted to, but Jack Guy kind of buried him a little bit. Nice hit, open ice hit. I don't think anybody was going to get hurt by it. Enter tab. Devin, with the eventual return of Line A and RHP, who do you believe will be out of the lineup to make room for them? I'm guessing Kandata. Hate if it's Heineman. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's an interesting question, Enter tab. I am not a big fan of all of the line shuffling that's gone on with this team. I think that for me, you probably look at, Line A. I would like to see Line A, Doc, and Newhook on the second line. That would be my preference. If you're gonna have to send, it's tough, man. Like RHP comes in the lineup, so who are you gonna like? I don't know. Like, Pizzetta, what happens to Pizzetta? Right? Like, Pizzetta hasn't played in forever. Where does he go? Like, do you find a spot for RHP and take out Armia? Like, you're not going to take out. I don't think you can take out Anderson or Gallagher. Dvorak at center. Maybe if you get Doc back playing center, then you have Suzuki, Doc, Evans. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question. I do hope it's not. I hope it's not Heineman. I think Kandata is probably obvious, but who else? I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you. Where does RHP, where does Harvey Pinard fit into it all? I don't know. If they trade defenseman Savard, I think he will be missed because he brings such steadiness in the defense. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Frank. I don't think they'll be in a rush to trade Savard. I think if they get a decent offer for him, I think Savard will go. But again, I think they're happy with what he's bringing to the team right now. Do I think they can live without him? Yes, I do. I think they showed that last game. They played well without him. Barron stepped in. Barron isn't doing the best, but eventually, when you talk about him being steady, eventually you're hoping that guys like Gooley, and even Jack Guy and Struble and guys like that become those steady forces. And obviously even Hudson and Matheson. Matheson's there too. That's all good, Spectre Dad. No need to apologize. I think the Oilers get away with a lot as it is McDavid. I agree. I said it on Blue Sky tonight. By the way, guys, get the hell off Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool. Join Blue Sky. Blue Sky is awesome. There's all kinds of Habs fans on there, all kinds of hockey people on there. People are joining. Go kill your Twitter account. Twitter is a cesspool. It's a flaming garbage can full of burning dog shit. Get off of there. Blue Sky is so much better, so much more enjoyable, so much more pleasant. You can tailor your feed to what you want to look at and not what Elon Musk wants you to look at. It's a much better place to be. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I think the Oilers get away. Yeah. So again, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. I said it on Blue Sky, Chase. You know, the 11th commandment is, thou shalt not call a penalty on the Edmonton Oilers while Connor McDavid has the puck, right? That whole scenario in the first period where McDavid got the puck and was doing all those loops around, and he, Hudson gets tripped up because somebody throws a pick on him, and then the Canadians end up with a penalty because Anderson has the nerve to, get in front of McDavid. And then, the Oilers go on sort of a minute and a half long delayed penalty where there's two more interference, potential interference calls against Montreal players that don't get called. And then, of course, Caden Gooley takes a slap shot in the hand that, could have been a lot worse. And it's all because nobody wants to call a penalty when Connor McDavid is on a roll. Right? McDavid might do something special, so we can't call a penalty here. It's just, anyways, maybe someday the Canadians will have players that are at that level where, the NHL referees defer to them and give them the benefit of the doubt the way they give Connor McDavid the benefit of the doubt. Hudson should have had a penalty shot. Okay. I didn't see where that would have been, Adrian. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more. It's as if the rest want to take spot away from the actual players. I'm at a loss. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, Jason. I'm with you 100%. I went on a rant at the beginning of the show about it. I've talked about it since. I don't understand. Like I said, in any sport, the reason you have referees and the reason you have rules is for two reasons. One, it's to protect the players from injury. Two, it's to ensure the sanctity, the fairness, the integrity of the game, right? So that the game is fair, the game is consistent, and that, people playing and people watching the game know what to expect as far as the rules and the application of the rules. The referees in hockey don't do that. In the NHL, they don't do that. Like the referees do not bring any level of safety. They don't do any, they don't referee in any way to protect the players. They don't referee in any consistent manner that makes the game fair and predictable. It's just not. We've got all of these so-called automatic penalties now in the NHL, right? Like if my stick touches your skate and you fall down, that is a penalty, right? If my stick comes across your chest, what do they talk horizontal? If your stick is horizontal across your opponent's chest, that's hooking, right? Regardless of how it got there, regardless of whether you have, how do you hook somebody with one hand on your stick? Well, it happens all the time in the NHL now, right? If your stick gets into the opposing player's hands, it's slashing no matter what. There's no debate about it. Again, slashing with one hand, right? Holding. If your hand comes off your stick and touches your opposing player in any way, shape, or form, that's holding now. But meanwhile, Zach Hyman can run over the Canadiens goalie without anybody else anywhere near him and knock the net off the moorings, and he skates away with no penalty. I don't get it. It makes no sense. I heard Blue Sky like Twitter was back in the day. Yeah, it is. It's like old Twitter. It's again, there's not full of ads. It's not, full of, you're not being bombarded and sort of inundated with, political trolls in your feed. If you're over there on YouTube or TikTok, guys, come on over to YouTube. We're not really answering any questions on TikTok anymore, but I put it up on TikTok so that you guys would know that we're over here on YouTube. If you want to come over here, you'll see the graphics. You'll be able to participate. You'll be able to join in on the comments and be a part of the show. So if you're over there on TikTok, just come on over. All you got to do is just go to your YouTube app, Recliner Sports 4, and join in on the conversation. Go Habs go. Yes, Lucky. Go Habs go. They had a good game tonight. All right, Hunter. Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Lucky and Enertap. Good team game by the Canadiens, and that's what they're working on, right? They're working on being a good team, right? They've established that they've got good individual players, and they'll have more coming. But now what I think Marty St. Louis and the coaching team is trying to do is they're trying to build a team, right? How do we play as a team? How do we win? How do we learn how to win? How do we learn to be a better team? It's great, that Nick Suzuki scored 77 points last year. It's great that Cole Caulfield looks like he could be a 40 or 50 goal scorer. It's great that Uri Slafkovsky had 50 points last year and looks like he might have more than that this year. Those things are all great, but now they need to come together as a group and start playing as a team and learn how to win. All right, Spectre Dad, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. I didn't find Doc struggled at all tonight, to be honest with you. If I'm being perfectly frank, I thought Doc had quite a good game tonight. Did people think otherwise? What are your thoughts on Kirby Doc tonight? I thought he played just fine. I thought he had one of his better games, certainly of late. His numbers certainly were impressive. He was the second best on the team in expected goals percentage, right around 90. Let's see. What else can we look at? Expected goals percentage. Yeah, Kirby Doc, third on the team in expected goals percentage. He was... Let's see what else we can find out about Kirby Doc's game tonight. Expected goals total, he was third on the team. Expected goals percentage, he was third on the team. 90.8 expected goals percentage. That's second best on the team tonight. So I don't have any issue with Kirby Doc's game tonight. I mean, obviously he didn't, sort of shine offensively, as maybe we've seen him in the past, but Joseph Felice, what's up? Thanks for coming by, guys. I see we've got 5. I started using Ecamm tonight. Tonight's my first night using Ecamm. I switched over from OBS, and it gives me a count of how many thumbs up we've got so far. We have 5 tonight. It's a start. We're working on it. We're pretty new here. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over to YouTube. Recliner Sports 4 is the channel, and the show is Habs After Dark. We are talking hockey. We're talking the Montreal Canadiens, and we're talking the Canadiens and Oilers tonight. We'll probably stay on for another 10 minutes or so. If you're here in the comments, make sure you send me your questions if you have any. If you have any comments, anything you want to talk about. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would ask that you please do. It obviously helps us. I know every YouTuber says this, but apparently only 35% of you are actually subscribed. 35% of the people who watch the live are subscribed. So it does help us if you subscribe. We're pretty new on YouTube, guys. We've been here for about a month now, maybe a little over that. I think we're coming up on 120 or so subscribers. So we can always do better. If you're watching this in a replay as well, and you enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up, tap that thumbs up, and also subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're enjoying the content. Every subscriber helps, and we're trying to grow and build and get bigger, and we're trying to do all that good stuff, and we can only do it with your help. Hopefully we're giving you good content that you enjoy. So if you are watching this in a replay, understand that we do go live after every Montreal Canadiens game. So if you ever want to watch us live and get in the comments, that's the best way to do it. But again, if you want to put a comment in the replay, I'll certainly do my best to answer that as well. Adrian, I couldn't find it, but I saw Hudson in the slot, went around the Oilers player and saw the Oiler trip. Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't see that particular play, Adrian. I'll have to go and look at the highlights and see if I can see which play you're talking about. Kevin Carswell, what is going on? Welcome. Thank you for the thumbs up. We're drinking a little bit of rum tonight too, guys. A little celebratory drink of rum. All right, Jason. Thanks, man. 5 a.m. does come quick. I'm going to end it here shortly as well. I appreciate you guys for coming. I think Hudson is an amazing player. He moves, puts up. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Frank. And again, I know that non-Canadians fans will sort of roll their eyes at all of this, but um, Lane Hudson is a special player, and I think we're going to see that from him. Um, the way he thinks, the way he sees the game, the way he you know he always he seems to be able to anticipate plays. He seems to know where to be. He seems to know where everyone else is going to be. Um, when you watch the game from above, like when you're either watching it on TV or you're watching it from up high in the stands, you can almost see his brain working, right? And you can see what he is almost like, it's almost like he can see what you can see from above, but he's down there in the middle of it. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild to see the things that he can do. His breakout, it's not just about his dazzling, the dazzling stuff that he does in the offensive zone. It's about the breakouts. What's up, Jeevan? Thanks, Tap. Have a good one, man. Like it's like it's reminiscent of Quinn Hughes in a way too, right? Like it's not just the head fakes and the moves that he makes in the defense in the offensive zone. It's his breakout. Like he's a one man breakout. Like he always makes a good he always makes a good smart pass. He always knows where the guys are. He always knows what to do. And if everyone else is tied up, well, he can get the puck out on his own. He can skate the puck out. And if if there's nothing there, then he just turns it around and goes back behind his net and starts over again. It's special, and again, I don't think that the advanced stats do a very good job of reflecting what he's doing on the ice. I think he's getting a bit of a bum's rush a little bit from the advanced stats, because he is playing so much, and he's playing so much in, against high competition. But yeah, I think, I mean, there isn't a rookie in the NHL this year that I would rather have than Lane Hudson. Just, I mean, again, I can't say it any other way. I mean, I know people will say that that's being a homer, and maybe it is, but it is what it is. I think he's going to be a guy who we look back on as being a really good hockey player. Do I think Kirby Dach is underperforming? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Not tonight. Maybe a little bit. Not tonight. I think that again, I'm very hesitant, and I very rarely criticize the coaching staff because I think they've done an excellent job. But I think one of Marty St. Louis' mistakes this year is the amount that he has shuffled the lines, and how impatient he has been when he does shuffle the lines, how quickly he resorts to shuffling lines. I think that's hurt Kirby Dach. I think Kirby Dach would certainly be well served to be left alone on the second line, to be put back at center, and to be given the same line mates for 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, right? You tell, I think you put Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Suzuki back together, and then you put Dach with Newhook and Heineman on the second line, and you put Dach at center, and you sit him aside and you say, hey, you're playing on this line. We're not taking you guys. We're not going to separate you guys. You guys are going to play together, same 3 guys for the next 5 games. Period. End of discussion. Regardless of what happens, we're leaving the 3 of you together, and you give Dach that consistency, and that ability to have the same guys and have similar expectations night in and night out, and you allow him to go and sort of get comfortable and feel comfortable in his own skin, and not be worried about getting shifted over to another line, or having to get used to a different winger or whatever. I think that would work wonders for a guy like Kirby Dach. Ovechkin got hurt. Oh God, that's not good. That is not good. goes back where, Albert? You mean goes back to the second line? I mean, again, yeah, that would to me it's a no-brainer. I've never been a fan of coaches that resort to shuffling their lines that quickly. To me, if you have a line that works or has worked, I think that they've earned the benefit of the doubt, and I think that are ought to be quite reluctant to break them up. And breaking up the first line to me made absolutely no sense. I mean, in a way, I kind of understood what Marty St. Louis was trying to do, but it made no sense to me to separate Caulfield, Slafkovsky, and Suzuki. And to me, it makes no sense to think that you're going to help Kirby Dach find his game by putting him out there with different line mates every single night. I'm not a big fan. And again, now everyone talks about whether he's a winger or a center. Well, moving him back to the wing hasn't been any better than him being at center. Put him at center, man. He's been a center all his life. Yeah, he's not that great on faceoffs, but who cares? Put him on a line with Newhook, right? Newhook can take faceoffs. Again, he's not going to become better at faceoffs if you move him to the wing. He's not going to become, the centerman that you want him to be if you put him on the wing. Let him be a centerman and leave him there. Leave him alone. Let him be who he's going to be. Like I don't get that. Like it's not a Marty St. Louis thing. It's been, multiple coaches with the Montreal Canadiens over the years. Like, just leave the guys alone. Like what is wrong with, what is wrong with Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Suzuki? Nothing. What is wrong with Dach, Newhook, Heineman? Nothing. What is wrong with Evans, Gallagher, and Anderson? Nothing. Right? Then the only real issue you have is with your fourth line. You've got Dvorak, Armia, and whoever. Right? Whether it's, Pizzetta or whether it's, whoever. But, but there you've got three, you just leave them alone. Let them play. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, Joseph. I don't know if I agree with that. Dach is not a bottom six player. A third the skill set and the game that you're expected to play when you're a third liner is very different than if you're a first or second liner. And I don't think that Dach fits that profile. I don't think that you play on the third and fourth line until you're good enough to play on the first and second line. I don't think, to me, that's not the way it should work, but it is what it is. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. I am going to shut it down on that note, guys. I appreciate everybody for coming. Who do we got? We got Frank, we got Joseph, we got Albert, we got Daniel, Lucky, Hunter, Daniel, Adrian, Joseph, Lucky, Entertap, Jeevan was here real quickly, Jason, Kevin, who else? Spectre Dad, Hunter, Chase. We had a whole crew in here tonight, guys. I really appreciate everybody for coming by, watching. If you're watching on a replay, I appreciate that as well. Whether you're watching live or on a replay, please, guys, subscribe. It really does help. If only 35% of you who are watching this content are subscribing, that's, it really takes absolutely no effort whatsoever just to hit that subscribe bell. Or subscribe button and the notification bell. It really does help us. We're trying to grow. We're new here. We're trying to build something cool, fun, and interesting. We're trying to, create a nice, fun place where you can talk about hockey without, getting in fights and arguments and whatever. Somewhere where you can, have civil, objective conversations about sports and particularly the Montreal Canadiens. We do our show Habs After Dark every night. When the Montreal Canadiens play, we go live after the game, about 15 minutes after the game. We hopefully will be putting up some other content as well, some content where we do some content with other content producers, other people. I will be going live with Coach Frenchie on Thursday evening. I'm not sure exactly what time, but I am going to be over there on his show on Thursday night. So if you want to come over and check that out, that would be really cool and fun too. But again, for this channel here, if you're, like I said, if you're live, if you're in here right now, tap on the thumbs up. First of all, if you're enjoying the content, tap on the notification bell and make sure that you subscribe. And again, same thing if you're watching on a replay, if you're watching this tomorrow, give us a follow. It really does help. It really does show the love, and it really does help us grow. And also, of course, if you're watching on a replay, maybe next time come by live and play a part in the comments and join the conversation. So if you're over there on TikTok, guys, I see there's 4 or 5 of you over there. Again, we're no longer doing our lives on TikTok. We started on TikTok. We're not doing those anymore. We've moved fully over to YouTube. I do turn TikTok on when I go live over here, just to give you guys a notification, a heads up that we are live, and that give you a chance to pop over here and join our conversation on YouTube. But that's not going to last forever. But yeah, it would be awesome if you guys would make the migration over from TikTok. It's way better conversation here in YouTube, guys, than it is in TikTok. There's no trolls. We don't have to deal with any of the BS. It's just all solid, civil, fun, objective chat about hockey. So that's it for tonight, guys. I really appreciate you all. I won't be doing any of the gymcasts anymore, guys. No, I'm not doing gymcasts anymore. Maybe I'll figure something out, but no, I don't expect to be doing any of the gymcasts anymore. I'm done with TikTok, guys. It's too trolly for me. I come out of my TikTok lives, with a chip on my shoulder and feeling pissed off at the world. And it's not good for my or anybody's mental health to be going through that. It's much easier and better to be on here, where I can have, fun, interesting conversations, and that's not everybody on TikTok is like that, obviously. But unfortunately it's hard to, sift through the bullshit and get to the good stuff. Whereas on here, it's mostly all good stuff. So, we will be doing almost everything on YouTube going forward. And not on TikTok. So that's it for tonight. The Montreal Canadiens 3-0 over the Edmonton Oilers. That's 2 wins in a row, back-to-back fantastic games for the Canadiens. The goal scorers tonight were Evans into an empty net. Who else? We had Evans. We had Caden Gooley. And we had Brendan Gallagher. 3-0 Montreal. Next game is not until Saturday, and I'm not even sure who they play. I'm sure that you guys do. We will see you then. We will be going live after the game, Habs After Dark. Every Canadiens game, 15 minutes after the final horn, we are live on Recliner Sports. My name's Devin. Thank you so much to everybody who came by. I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you participating in the chat. We'll see you in the next one. If you're watching on a replay, same to you. Thanks so much for coming by. If you have any questions, feel free to fire them away, and we'll answer them in the next live. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks again. Peace out.